Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop. And today we're going to be doing a versus video between the Anta KAI one and the Adidas AE one. So basically Kyrie Irving versus Anthony Edwards. Of course they are, playing each other in the Western Conference Finals, which is pretty amazing, and if you guys do want to cop either of these shoes, I'll try to leave an affiliate link in the description box. If you do choose to buy either of these shoes, it does help me out if you do buy from the links. So as always, thank you guys so much for all the support. But as far as the pricing goes, it's pretty much the same exact price, right? So the Anta KAI one goes for 125 bucks retail and the AE one goes for 120 bucks. So yeah, $5 price difference, pretty much the exact same price. They are both amazing top tier performers as well. I love playing in both of these shoes. So which one is better? Or I guess the better question would be which one is better for you, right? So we're gonna break that down right now. Let's get it started right off with the Tracciones, right? So the KAI one was definitely a huge disappointment when I first got it. When I first got it, I was like, yo, I'm so excited for these, and then I tried on my wood floors. It was terrible. It was an absolutely terrible bite, just was not gripping on my wood floor. But then I took it to the actual basketball court, and after like a game or two, it broke in really nicely and started to have an amazing bite, right? So if you're playing on a clean court, you just need to break it in for only a little bit and it starts to get really good. It's a very solid bite, but it's not top tier, you know what I mean? So the AE one, right when I first got it, I was like, yo, these feel absolutely amazing. So if you're playing on a clean court, the AE one has the better bite, right? It just has an amazing top tier bite. So yeah, if you want the harder bite and you're playing on a clean court, the AE one is going to be better. If you're playing on a dustier court, however, they're both amazing, right? The KAI one is extremely consistent, doesn't really pick up that much dust. And also the AE one does not pick up that much dust. Really weird. I don't know why, because we have these grooves here. You guys see these grooves on the outsole, right? And these aren't in contact with the ground. So we actually have less contact with the ground, but whatever rubber compound they use is absolutely amazing. Bites through dust extremely well. If you're playing on an outdoor court, however, I feel like both of these will be a bad option, right? The AE one has these really long, thin grooves, and it's actually kind of soft. It's pretty pliable, so you can move it with your finger pretty easily. The KAI one, same thing. I don't know if you guys can see, but I do have some tearing on this outsole, or maybe it was my other pair, but it's just tearing off a little bit in the highway area. So just be careful with that. Do not play with either of these shoes on outdoor court. So basically the AE one is better for traction. It's actually one of the best tractions you can get this year. The KAI one is very nice. It's just the AE one's a little bit better, right? So there's a traction there. Moving on to the heel to toe transition, they're both extremely smooth, right? So the KAI one is really smooth, actually smoother than the AE one in the heel, right? So here in the heel, we have a nice compression, super duper soft. We have a nice little curve shape as well. The AE one is a little clunky because there's not that much compression, so it feels a little bit clunkier than the KAI one, but it's still pretty nice because it's just not super stiff here in the heel, right? So that feels kind of nice, but the KAI one just feels a little bit softer. And then coming here to the forefoot, they both have a nice curved shape. And then the AE one, I don't know if you guys can see, but we do have a full length kind of like X-shaped plate, and it adds for a little bit of springiness in the forefoot, right? The KAI one, it doesn't really spring as much. It has a little bit of springiness, probably due to this plastic actually, right? But it's still, I would say it's a little bit more soft and a little bit more flexible than the AE one. So it just feels a little bit different for the heel to toe transition. The KAI one just feels a little bit smoother here in the heel because of the actual foam. But if you want a little bit more springiness, the AE one is a little bit springier. So there's that. Moving on to the cushioning setup. So they're both extremely nice in their own ways, right? I wouldn't say one is better than the other. Obviously, cushion is all preference. But yeah, if you want the softer and just more comfortable cushioning setup, I would say go with the KAI one. But if you want the better court feel and also I guess a little bit more responsive cushioning setup, then go with the AE one. So the KAI one, we have full length N2 foam, right? It's right over here. You can see how freaking thick the N2 foam is, right? And then on the lateral side, like I said, we had this EVA, which is super duper soft. So yeah, it's really good for impact protection, right? Your feet are not gonna hurt at all. And also for step and comfort, it's extremely nice. If you remove the insole, you can see the soft mesh strobe board, and it's really nice for underfoot cushion, right? But same thing with the AE1, right? We have a cutout and the strobe board is on the softer side of things. So it's still kind of nice for the AE1, But comparing to the Kai one, the Kai one's just a little bit better for stepping comfort. Also, it's a little bit better for impact protection as well, although the AE one was adequate for me for impact protection. As far as bounce goes, I would say the Kai one is just a tiny bit bouncier because the N2 foam is thicker, and also the soft mesh strobe board is softer for underfoot cushioning, and you have better compression here in the heel, right? And also for me personally, the Kai 1 was also pretty dang responsive. It didn't feel super soft and super mushy to the point where I just felt slow. It was actually good for me. I didn't really mind it. But like I said, if you want something a little bit more responsive and a little bit stiffer feeling, then the AE1 is the better option, right? So in my personal opinion, I would say I like the Kai 1 better, you know? But like I said, better cord feel and a little bit more responsiveness with still adequate impact protection and also still pretty nice step and comfort. The AE1 is still a great option for cushion. So anyways, there's that. Moving on to the upper. So the upper is extremely different, right? So here in the Kai 1, we have this kind of like embroidered material here in the toe box, right? And in different colorways, it's a little bit different, but in both of these colorways that I have, it's the same, pretty much same exact pattern, right? It's just different colors. But once you break it in, it does get extremely soft, right? And it conforms to your foot extremely well, and it's also super supportive. And we do have an extra layer of fuse going around the toe box. Same thing here in the AE1. The AE1 is very, very supportive. However, it is thicker, but it still conforms to your foot pretty dang well, and it doesn't really hurt my feet either. Like there's no pinching or anything. And also like we have this obviously like the craziest plastic cage, but it's actually kind of soft as far as like, you know, when you look at it, it looks really stiff, but it's actually like it moves pretty well, you know. The Kai 1, obviously we have this midfoot strap that doesn't really do anything. It's just, I don't know why he added that, but it's there. And then for the actual tongue, the Kai 1 feels way better, right? It's just, it feels so cozy. We have this kind of like memory foam type of material. It feels really nice and cozy right on top of your foot. The AE1 is just, there's no padding, right? So it's also held in place by 2 elastic bands on both sides of the tongue. The Kai 1 is just a half booty construction tongue, giving you a better overall one-to-one fit, but the AE1 is still pretty nice for that. And then here in the ankle area, I mean, the Kai 1 is definitely way better, in my personal opinion, right? It has way more padding. It has Achilles pads as well. I mean, I guess like side pads and also a pad here in the back of the heel where your Achilles is. So that feels really nice and cozy in the back of the shoe. The AE1, again, not that much padding, you know? So yeah, in my personal opinion, I would say the Kai 1, here in the toe box, it's thin, it's comfortable, it's minimal, but then here in the back of the shoe, it's really cozy and comfortable. The AE1, it's just overall like a supportive and kind of like average thickness type of material. Again, like it feels nice on foot, but the Kai 1 is just like more comfortable and more cozy while still being pretty minimal in the forefoot and like cozier in the back of the shoe, right? So there is the upper there. Moving on to the fit. So I went true to size for both of these shoes and they both fit me extremely well, right? My toes go pretty much right to the edge of the shoe. So that's really, really nice. Also here in the toe box is pretty dang snug. I would say the Kai 1 is a little bit roomier, especially like, I feel like once you break it in, it does get a little bit roomier. It does stretch out a little bit with this kind of like embroidered material. The AE1 does not stretch out at all. So the AE1 is a little bit more snug here in the toe box. And also I would say the AE1 is a little bit narrower, just a tiny bit. But both of the shoes, going true to size for me, are really nice snug fits. So if you want a nice snug fit, go true to size. If you want a little bit roomier, then go up half a size, right? So there is a fit there. Moving on to the support and lockdown. So both of them are extremely supportive as far as lateral containment goes, right? So I mean, if you're gonna make a shoe for Kyrie, he's gonna be doing lots of lateral movements, lots of crazy crossovers, cuts, step backs, you know? So he's gonna need really good lateral containment. And you get that with the Kai 1, right? We have this plastic coming up here in the forefoot acting as a sidewall. Here in the midfoot, we have the logo, I guess, a little bit. You know, it also kind of extends into the heel, and then you have an internal TPU heel count. So lateral containment was really good for me in the Kai 1, and same thing here in the AE1. You have this crazy plastic cage, and that's gonna keep you covered here in the forefoot, midfoot, and also here in the heel. And we have like this plastic heel clip. You know, it looks like carbon fiber. They made it look like carbon fiber as far as like the design goes, but it's just plastic. So lateral containment, they're both really good. Lateral stability, they're probably around the same. Yeah, look, they're both pretty much around the same width, so lateral stability for me was really good as well. And as far as ankle support goes, you know, if you want a little something on your ankle, the AE1's pretty nice, but like look at how thin the material is. It's just a really, really thin material. Doesn't really restrict ankle movement that much. It pretty much feels like a low to me. Just, you know, this feels kind of nice over the ankle bone, you know what I mean? But they are making a low version of the AE1. So I guess that's a little bit better for the AE1, but like I said, it pretty much feels like a low to me, you know? So overall support and lockdown, I would pretty much tie it up, right? And now moving on to the weight of the shoes. So that's where it kind of sucks for the AE1. The AE1 is actually quite heavy. Comes in at 15.5 ounces, guys. That's freaking heavy. The Kai one is a lot lighter, coming in at 13.35 ounces. So more than 2 ounces lighter for the Kai 1. And yes, you can definitely feel the difference in weight. You know, the Kai 1 definitely feels a lot lighter. But as far as bulkiness goes, neither of the shoes are bulky. But I would actually say the AE1 feels a little bit less bulky, you know? Just because you have a lot of foam coming up here in the heel on the medial side. You know what I mean? So you can feel a little bit of bulk here in the back of the shoe a little bit, you know? The AE1, like I said, the material is like overall a little bit more robust, but it's like pretty streamlined towards your foot. So nothing's like protruding out like crazy. So the AE1 actually feels a little bit more like minimal for the overall shoe, you know what I mean? But as far as like responsiveness goes, they're both extremely responsive shoes. You feel really, really quick playing in both of them, but because of the cushion, I would say the AE1 feels a little bit more responsive. You know what I mean? Like I said, the Kai 1 is just a little bit softer. So there is the weight there. Moving on to the aesthetics. Ooh, I don't know, guys. I definitely feel like I like the AE1 a little bit better, right? I don't know. What do you guys think? Kai 1 or the AE1? I feel like I like the AE1 just a tiny bit better. So tell us what you guys think looks better down in the comment section below. As far as ventilation goes, they both kind of suck. There's not a whole lot of airflow through either of these uppers. You know, like they're saying this is supposed to have good ventilation because there's like ventilation holes, but there isn't. There's like no airflow. So they're both kind of on the warmer side of things, right? And now wrapping things up, I feel like the main deciding factor is the cushioning setup. You know what I mean? I mean, they both have really, really nice traction. The AE1 is a little bit better, but the cushion is what is like the main difference. You know what I mean? So if you want the softer, more like impact protection and stuff like that, more comfortable type of cushion, then get the Kai 1. AE1 is a little bit more responsive, you know, lower to the ground. Like I said, they're both supportive, but also the upper does feel pretty dang different. You know what I mean? So I guess that's also another contributing factor. But like I said, you can't really go wrong with either of these shoes. They're both amazing, amazing performers. It's just like, what do you want from your hoop shoe? And in my personal opinion, I don't know, it's for me, it's literally 50-50 for me as well, right? But if I were to choose a shoe that I would want to play in every single day, I feel like the AE1 is, I'd pick the AE1 a little bit more, you know what I mean? Because the traction is just so dang good. The cushion is lower to the ground, which I like to have better court feel, but it's still comfortable for stepping comfort, has adequate impact protection, you know, and still a really supportive shoe where I still feel extremely quick when I'm playing in it, you know? But still, the Kai 1 is an amazing option, right? But anyways, that about wraps it up for this versus video. Hope this video helped you guys out. And again, if you guys do want to cop either of these shoes, I try to leave the link in the description box. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.